All right, so we attended the ECC conference up at Marist College, and during this conference we got to meet a lot of really interesting people within the enterprise computing industry, and each one of us are going to talk about panels and interesting people that we met during our time there. So we'll just go down the line here. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Heather. I went to the conference with everyone. Mostly these were people on the Mainframe team. As you could see that picture of a Mainframe. It was an IBM conference, so they were talking a lot about mainframes and computing. And one of the panels that I found actually very interesting was about creating Java batch files, which basically it's a way of managing sending out a program to do something at a specific interval. And this is something that they do use in enterprise computing, and I felt that that was something that would be interesting to learn about and to know before going into the field. I was able to meet with the person who presented that specific panel, and he was an IBMer, so it was nice to talk to someone who is in the field and who has used these softwares before.
If you want to speak.
So another keynote speaker whom we found is doing computational healthcare similar to what we are doing was Dr. Hugh. I only have 45 seconds, which would actually take up the time of her title alone. But she's a global science leader and in AI for healthcare, IBM fellow. And she presented computational health for the next generation. We found it interesting that she had used data analytics, machine learning, and deep learning to accelerate finding cures, predicting models, and one of the things she mentioned was home monitoring of Parkinson's disease patients, predictive model with deep learning from EMR, which is electronic medical records, which is similar to what we're working on.
We met a lot of amazing people there. I'll let him first talk about one of them that we both found extremely helpful and amazing. Let him first talk about. We all found her amazing.
Yeah.
But Misty Decker.
Yeah, she is the best. For those of you who don't know who Misty Decker is, she is the academic initiative lead for IBM, and she was on a few panels. One of the best ones was a panel that a couple of us attended, where she showed us how to initialize our own Master of the Mainframe meetings for those who aren't computer science oriented and haven't got the luxury to take Professor LSQ's assembly course. Master of the Mainframe is a learning system that IBM puts out to help students get involved and learn skills to use in a mainframe environment. And Misty Decker showed us really interesting ways and a whole bunch of really awesome activity kits that we could utilize to help bring these skills to other students and other people who might not have normally found an interest in assembly. And it's something we're working on finding ways to include people maybe outside of our computer science realm.
So we were looking at high schools. Another thing that we were working on, Misty Decker gave absolutely some really amazing suggestions about asking the sponsors for advice, because there's one thing she said that people love to do, is talk about themselves. So I managed to use that to make a whole lot of connections, not just via LinkedIn, but also people's business cards. To do for a network security conference that we are hoping to hold. So hopefully sometime this fall you guys will get to be a part of a cybersecurity conference with a bunch of engineers from Blackridge, Viacom, Broadband, and hopefully IBM. Andy can talk more
Speaking
about
of some of the interesting people, like she mentioned, one of the people that we spoke to was Mr. Christopher Anderson, who was a representative of Blackridge. Blackridge was a company that, up until a year ago, only specifically worked with the Department of Defense. They held projects more along the lines of securing cyber communications between general assets, everything from satellites to soldiers on the ground. As of last year, they've taken that technology to the public and are right now actively recruiting, building offices and such. That representative, Christopher Anderson, was extremely interesting when it came to talking about the ridiculous amount of segmentation that they're working on with their technology. But along with that, we also spoke to other gentlemen who represented other companies like Broadcom, Vicom, which are semiconductor and telecommunication specialists, also just general IT like Rocket. All of these people were there and more than happy to just sit down and talk with us for, in some instances, hours on end. So, but there was also another presentation from, I believe his name was Gabriel
Bell.
Yes, which was very eye-opening for all of us, specifically on data analysis.
Yeah, so that conference was about how a single source of truth can be a single point of failure. I found it a great presentation because even though it was aimed to data management and how you have to be flexible with your truth, and you have to have the mentality that there's not such a single truth even when managing data. I think you can put that into everything, even in project management. He basically was telling us how groups have this mentality that, oh, it has to be this way, period. But if you're flexible with that and you allow everyone to speak and you have like a more open-minded about that, if you're more open-minded about like what you can use to achieve a goal, you can do more. And after the presentation was over, I was able to bother, I think we all were able to bother him for at least 1 hour. And he basically recommended us, like every time we have a project, just think about your team and think about what they want to do and about what is the actual goal you want to do. And remember that there's no matter how you achieve it, the point is achieving it.
And also, in addition to that, he applied it to the field of computer science, where that when you're working in a large group with people of computer science and different specializations of it, you can always take away something from each and different branch of computer science, such that a data scientist can help a general programmer and also vice versa, where you can view data in a different point of view rather than just a linear view. You can apply the team building aspect to broaden your portfolio, as well as broaden the uses you can get out of a single strand of data. Also, he gave all of us a lot of several pointers of how to more efficiently work with your team members in a fun way. That's also speeds up your efficiency by at least 25%.
Mike Hernandez, and what this trip was mostly about, which was very graciously provided and organized with Lewis. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
But more important than anything, Lou, is that we were able to meet with people in the industry who are trying actively to get talent from students, from people who are willing to excel and go to 3SP programs to conduct their own research, initiate their own projects. One of the panels I went to was, we have an assembly language mini course provided by 3SP. And it is just programming under all high-level languages. He created something in Visual Studio, which is in academics right now in colleges, to be able to program in that very scary and complex environment. But in doing so, it allowed us that we are able to see how we are bringing our current knowledge from the school to the industry and what kind of connections we're able to bring, how to sponsor hackathons, how to bring people to Bergen, and how to bring people from Bergen to the industry. And this was an absolute amazing opportunity. Thank you.
Questions?